What if I told you there's proof, not from the Bible, but from a foreign enemy of Israel, that King David's dynasty really existed? In 1993, archaeologists uncovered a discovery that changed the way we understand history. This inscription, found in northern Israel, proves that David wasn't just a biblical legend, he was real. Stay tuned to find out how this shocking find turned myth into undeniable history. The figure of King David has long been one of the most iconic characters in biblical history. The young shepherd who rose to defeat the giant Goliath, the king who unified Israel, and the man who established Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the Jewish people. His story has shaped the identity of Israel and remains a central narrative in religious traditions. In the Bible, David is the very embodiment of strength, faith, and leadership, but the question has always lingered. Was he a real person, or just a character created to glorify Israel's past? This question has puzzled scholars and believers alike for centuries. For centuries, historians and archaeologists debated David's historicity. While many believe the Bible to be a spiritual and cultural document, few could confirm its claims about David with hard evidence. Ancient records from neighboring civilizations were unearthed, but none made reference to the figure of King David or his supposed empire. His name remained absent in the texts of surrounding nations, leading some to conclude that David was more a legendary figure than a historical one. As a result, some scholars dismiss David as a mythologized hero who never really existed, a tool created to unite the people of Israel under a glorious, if imaginary, past. But in 1993, everything changed. In a small excavation in the northern hills of Israel, archaeologists stumbled upon an ancient inscription that would force historians to reevaluate their views on David. The discovery came when the question of David's existence seemed far from being resolved. For the first time, physical, non-biblical evidence was found that directly linked David's name to the ancient world, turning what was once considered legend into fact. It was during an excavation at the site of Tel Dan, near the borders of Lebanon and Syria, that the pivotal discovery occurred. Archaeologist Abraham Biran and his team had been working at the site for years, uncovering ancient walls, gates, and fortifications, each piece adding to the puzzle of ancient Israel's history. But what they uncovered in the summer of 1993 would be a game changer, forever altering the course of biblical archaeology. This discovery provided the first concrete evidence of a royal dynasty that had long been shrouded in mystery. A fragment of a basalt stele, part of a larger monument, was uncovered during routine digging. The stone was unearthed almost by accident, but its significance would soon become clear. Upon closer inspection, the stele revealed a text, an inscription in ancient Aramaic that contained something no one had expected: a mention of the House of David, a royal family that had been mentioned in the Bible, but never confirmed by archaeological evidence. This sudden revelation changed the course of history. At first glance, this might not seem significant, but the context of the inscription was what made it so remarkable. The stele was created by a foreign king, likely Hazael of Damascus, who was Israel's enemy. Hazael, like most ancient kings, would have had no reason to honor Israel's history or kingship. If anything, he would have wanted to downplay Israel's power and legitimacy. Yet, in this monumental inscription, he clearly acknowledged the House of David, a royal family that had ruled Israel. The enemy king's willingness to recognize David's lineage spoke volumes about the power and influence that David's dynasty had beyond the borders of Israel. This was the first extra-biblical mention of King David ever discovered. The words, "I killed the king of the house of David," were a simple acknowledgement of an Israelite king, but their significance was profound. The phrase alone was a military boast, but the implications were far-reaching. The mention of David's dynasty in a foreign context confirmed what the Bible had claimed for centuries. David's dynasty was real. It wasn't just a legend or a symbolic figure created to inspire the Israelites. It was a real, historical dynasty, recognized even by Israel's enemies. The historical reality of King David's reign was now beyond question, confirmed by an independent and hostile source. The implications of this discovery were huge. It meant that the biblical narrative, far from being just a collection of myths, had a tangible foundation in history. David, the man whose life and reign had been questioned for so long, was confirmed by a hostile foreign source, someone with no incentive to exaggerate Israel's power or glory. If anything, Hazael, as Israel's adversary, would have sought to diminish the significance of David's rule. But the fact that Hazael not only recognized David but also referred to him as the founder of a dynasty was irrefutable proof of David's historical reality. This discovery was monumental not just for what it revealed about King David, but also for the larger implications it had on the study of ancient history. For years, scholars had dismissed the Bible's account of David's kingdom as exaggerated or even entirely fictional. Biblical minimalism, the academic view that much of the Old Testament was written much later than it is claimed to have occurred, was a widely accepted perspective. Scholars argued that the grand kingdoms described in the Bible, especially the one ruled by David, were myths created to provide legitimacy to later generations. But the Tel Dan inscription, written by a foreign adversary, completely overturned this argument. The discovery of David's dynasty being acknowledged by a king like Hazael showed that David's kingdom was real and that it was known far beyond Israel's borders. It confirmed that the Bible wasn't just a religious text, but was rooted in real history. Despite this stunning confirmation, the Tel Dan inscription doesn't give us a complete picture of King David's reign. It doesn't tell us about his military victories, the size of his kingdom, or the political structure of his rule. But it does provide clear evidence that David was a real person and that his dynasty was recognized by other ancient kingdoms. This alone was enough to push King David from the realm of legend into the realm of history. The Tel Dan inscription is not just an isolated find. Other archaeological discoveries have since further supported the historical reality of David's dynasty. One of these discoveries is the Mesha Stele, discovered in 1868 in Jordan. The Mesha Stele, also known as the Moabite stone, contains a reference to the House of David and was created by the Moabite king Mesha. Though the mention of David is somewhat unclear, many scholars agree that it refers to the same Davidic dynasty. Additionally, excavations at Khirbet Qeiyafa, an ancient fortified city in the Elah Valley, have provided further evidence of a centralized state in Judah during the early 10th century BCE, around the time David would have reigned. This site has revealed large defensive walls and Hebrew inscriptions, on both of which suggest that the Kingdom of David was not just a small tribal confederation, but a fully fledged, well-organized state capable of defending itself. So, what does all this evidence tell us? Simply put, David's kingdom existed. The Tel Dan inscription has provided definitive proof that David's dynasty was recognized by external powers. The Mesha Stele, the archaeological site of Khirbet Qeiyafa, and other discoveries further solidify the biblical account of David's reign, even though we don't have all the details of his empire. While the exact nature of David's kingdom remains open to interpretation, the evidence now makes it clear that the House of David was not a myth, but a real historical entity. The Tel Dan inscription, along with subsequent archaeological discoveries, has forced scholars to reconsider not only the existence of King David, but also the true nature of Israel's early monarchy. The impact of the Tel Dan inscription extends far beyond the question of King David's existence. It challenges our understanding of ancient history and the role of the Bible in recording real events. The Bible, once considered primarily a spiritual document, is now recognized as also being rooted in historical reality. As new discoveries continue to emerge, we are left to reflect on the nature of ancient texts and the way they shape our understanding of the past. The story of King David has long been told through the lens of faith, but the Tel Dan inscription has shown us that it is also a story of history, one that continues to be written as we unearth new evidence. As we keep uncovering more from the past, one thing is clear. King David's kingdom wasn't just a legend, it was a powerful dynasty that shaped history. The Tel Dan inscription changed everything. And who knows what new discoveries are waiting to rewrite even more chapters of the past? If you're fascinated by how ancient history is still being uncovered, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let's keep exploring the past together, because every discovery brings us one step closer to the truth.